Nubreed, Global Truth.
The shipping company UPS announcing earlier today that it plans to cut 20,000 jobs this year, in addition to closing 73 of its facilities. The company says the decision is due in part to an agreement with Amazon to reduce the volume of packages by 50%. Amazon is UPS's largest customer, but UPS's CEO says that Amazon's business is not profitable for the company. UPS also says that tariffs and economic insecurity are partially to blame for the downsizing as well. Barron's Al Root is here to break this down. All right, 20,000.
Wow, 20,000 jobs. Well, this trade war and these tariffs are really taking its toll on the United States citizens as well as consumers. I see you brothers and sisters rolling in. I am here to keep you informed. What's going on, son of light? Hitman's in the building. I am Jazzy Tone Hayes, Prime Minister. I am Nakira. Peace and blessings to y'all. As you enter the broadcast, make sure you hit it with a like button. It's time that we become very aware to what's taking place in America. America is far from being stable at the moment. And it seems that it's not going to get any better anytime soon. Now, we got to talk about this massive layoff that's happening in UPS, because let me explain this to you, brothers and sisters. UPS ships everything pretty much in this country. The United States Postal Service, I mean, it pretty much is responsible for all the office supplies that you see in the offices that you may work in. You know, UPS deals with hardware as well. I mean, if you're laying off 20,000 people, that should show you that a lot of other jobs are going to lose traction. And what we're seeing essentially is a microcosm of things to come, an amalgamation, if you will, of what's to come. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly and y'all can see me. If we have a stable connection here, let me know, because I want to make sure that you hear this and you hear me very clearly. Not only has UPS laid off 20,000 people, but I want to show you that this is going on in various places. Now, they're talking about the economic uncertainty. If the tariffs are impacting the UPS operations, then you can almost guarantee that other major corporations will be affected, because UPS are the ones who deliver the goods. UPS is the main ones who have these sprinter vans that's bringing your auto parts. It's all UPS, brothers and sisters. So I just want to make that very clear. Let's listen to some of what the specialist has to say, and I'm going to bring you more insight.
1,000 jobs, Al, that's massive. How did UPS get in this hole? Why isn't Amazon profitable for them?
A couple of things. I mean, Amazon's very difficult. Amazon's very large. So to some extent, it's market power, right? Amazon is pretty much the largest e-commerce company on the globe or in the Western world, and it can demand relatively favorable pricing. You know, FedEx doesn't deal with UPS. FedEx doesn't deal with Amazon. Now, UPS is choosing to take to leave some of Amazon's business off the table. And Amazon also has its own internal, very sophisticated logistics network, so it's shifting some of the volume over there. So some of this is the natural ebb and flow of business, but it's very big. And you asked, how did UPS get itself into this position? I mean, remember, we got to go all the way back to COVID. You know, before COVID, before an e-commerce boom, you know, UPS is doing $75 billion in sales. By 2022, that's like $100 billion in sales. Amazon's 10 to 15% of the total revenue. And then, like Carol, the CEO Carol Tomé said today, it's not as good as the rest of UPS's business. So they're stepping away from some of it. So they're stepping away from $5 billion in business, maybe $5 to $10 billion.
That is a lot of business to step away from. $5 to $10 billion. Now, I can assure you, this is because of the tariffs, because you have a lot of products that go through Amazon that are made where, ladies and gentlemen? Made in China. That's the issue. They're made in China. So there's a lot of products that Amazon are not going to be getting. So they won't have any need to partnership with UPS. And to add insult to injury, you have artificial intelligence that is taking over some of these delivery jobs, because they're gonna push for artificial intelligence to be doing transport. Those cars that drive themselves. Delivering packages without actual human beings. So, I mean, listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting very real now when it comes to the AI. Because we just got to talk about that for a moment here, right? When it comes to the AI, I want y'all to understand that they're shifting towards automation and efficiency. So companies that have been affected now are going to deal with automation. Why? Because that will reduce what they have to pay its employees, those additional expenses that come with human beings. So you're going to see a lot of jobs cut in UPS as well as Amazon. And that is catastrophic. A lot of people are feeding their families, man. And, this is tough to see. Let's continue.
In Amazon business, and that necessitates laying off 20,000 workers. Again, for context, that's roughly 5% of the workforce. UPS has almost 500,000 people working for it.
So the idea of tariffs, Al, continues to spook businesses and consumers. What kind of role are tariffs playing in this UPS news, if any? How does it feel to you?
So I think that today's news, UPS reported earnings today. The layoffs, the Amazon business, that sort of came out in the first quarter, sort of pre-tariffs. So a lot of this cost savings and restructuring is Amazon related. But we saw it in FedEx earnings, and we see it in earnings all over the place. People are still uncertain about the business impact of the tariffs. Remember, they just went into effect in April. A lot of comments about customer conversations and how they're planning to mitigate and move logistics around. So there's part of it. So, for instance, the tariff part of UPS's call, like they basically suspended guidance, and they just talked about the second quarter. Companies usually give people a look into the full year.
So as you can see, a lot of this is because of the tariffs. There's a lot of economic uncertainty. At least that's the scapegoat that they're using. I'm here to tell you, brothers and sisters, that this is all by design. This is all planned in advance. Before President Trump was even elected, they had a plan to crash the United States stock market. They had a plan to implode the dollar. And they also had a plan to replace people's jobs with AI. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, they've been playing this role. They've been planning this out, rather, for a long time. All right. Now, I know it's difficult for some people to believe, but your government is not being honest with you. Right. I know some people believe that the so-called powers that be are totally transparent about their plans for the future in regards to the people. I'm here to tell you they're liars. Whatever is going on with this shadow government, whatever is going on with these conspirators, the plan is always to gain more control over the people. And they're going to gain control through convenience. But what looks to be convenient ain't convenient, because y'all about to see this retail apocalypse, and Amazon is not going to have nearly as many options as they used to. And neither will there be many storefronts that have many options. So America is going to become very generic, right? It's going to become very boring for at least a time period, because what Trump is essentially saying is he's trying to create U.S. jobs, and so we can produce these things in-house. Well, the issue is America has no originality because we get everything from everywhere else, right? Now, I'm going to give y'all a bit of information here. And I want you to get the likes up if you're being edified. I want to give you a little bit of information because it's not just UPS that is experiencing these layoffs, but UPS definitely is leading the way. So when it comes to these job layoffs, since 2025, let me just give you a brief summary here. Notable companies that have been having layoffs. Of course, you got the 20,000 with the United Parcel Services. You got Esther Lauder. There is 7,000 layoffs. Chevron, 8,000 layoffs. Blue Origin, 1,400 layoffs. Meta, Facebook parent, 5% of their workforce, around 3,600 have been laid off, right? Morgan Stanley plans to lay off 2,000 people. That's 2 to 3% of their staff. There's a microchip company based in Arizona, and it's called Microchip Technology. They're laying off 2,000 people. Hewlett Packard, another 2,500 job layoffs. So the sales force is dropping. You got Gotti Inc., 700. Starbucks just laid off another 1,100. Grubhub just dropped 500 jobs. Block Inc., we got 931 jobs. Alley Financial, 500 jobs. Boeing laid off 400 jobs. Now, that's big with Boeing because, you know, they deliver a lot down south, right? So let's make no mistake about it. This is huge. And those are hundreds and thousands of people who are losing their jobs, trying to figure out how to make ends meet, trying to figure out how to provide for their families. So America is in a very compromised place right now. Babylon is falling. All right? Babylon is falling. Now let's proceed.
That's what General Motors did. Other companies have done the same. So they're seeing some cost inflation. Their customers are maybe stepping back or trying to redo logistics. But from a tariff perspective, we're still in the very early innings of the impacts and trying to figure out what businesses are going to do.
So Al, one other big thing that happened today, I know this is probably something that you've had your eye on as well. Amazon was in the news today for another reason. Punchbowl News reporting that Amazon was considering displaying the cost of U.S. tariffs next to certain products online. The Trump administration called that a hostile and political act. Ultimately, Amazon saying themselves that this will not.
So Amazon making a statement, anybody making a statement, Trump is labeling it a hostile political act. So anybody speaking out against what Trump is doing regarding the economy, they're looking at that as some type of act of teaism. Damn near it's an act of teaism just to speak on what's happening in the world. Man, and we got so much to unveil about y'all's favorite president. Oh, we're going to talk about it, but in due time, let's go.
Not be happening, but Al, sometimes when these things leak out, sometimes there's negotiating in the public going on. Does it feel like something like that's happening here, or is that a bit of a stretch?
I think so. I think that's accurate. I think to some extent, Amazon is in some respect at the heart of the tariff. They import a lot of stuff from Asian countries, China, Vietnam, shoes, clothing, a lot of that stuff.
That's exactly what I was telling y'all. A lot of the goods are coming from China. That's why Amazon has no need to partner with UPS, because they're not getting the goods. And on top of that, they got this automated service that they're working with. So, you know, it's just costing people their jobs. So this trade war with China is becoming extremely voluntary. It is really affecting people in a negative way. The United States citizens want this to be over at this point. You know, Babylon is going to fall regardless. And Trump is just used as the prideful, arrogant individual who is going to spearhead the fall, because the Bible says pride become before the what? Pride comes before the fall. Trump is being used because he's prideful and arrogant. And the truth of the matter is, the American citizens are not cohesive enough to really fight against what's happening. All we can do is move accordingly and plan. Only thing we can do is start to mobilize, unify, build with one another. Think about what's happening over there in Spain, in Portugal, and parts of France. And think about the fact that they're dealing with no power due to some type of cyber attack, allegedly. And they're dealing with that. And we have to consider how would we survive as people without the grid? Because it's going to end up coming to that at some point. So we have to find out how to develop relationships that are withstanding, because none of these jobs are promised. None of them. Nothing is promised. We are in the time of the prophets of old when everything was uncertain. This is why you have to have a relationship with the Creator. This is why you have to be, networking with people who are like-minded, because nothing is promised in this type of culture, in this society. You can have a job. One day that job is there, the next is gone. Retirement get cut all the time. You know how many people have lost their 401k because of these tariffs? Hundreds and thousands of dollars were lost. You know how many people they're talking about cutting off Social Security now? Listen, only thing is certain is the Lord not forsaking you if you're walking with him. That's the only thing for certain, right? Let's be clear about that, but let's go.
Is made in Asia, and it faces substantial tariffs. Amazon's sort of responsible for paying those tariffs. So instead of raising prices, they came up with this great idea. Oh, we'll just, show a tariff line item, and we'll show people that, we haven't changed our prices. We're not making any more money. Administration wasn't happy about that. Stuff like this has been tried before. If you go back to airlines, when fuel prices go up and down, or sometimes from taxes, ticket taxes and things like this, or landing fees at airports. Airports or airlines have tried to say, well, look at your ticket. We're not making much money. Look, it's all airport fees, or it's all fuel expense. The bottom line, again, for Amazon.
And that's what Trump is going to do. He's going to put a Band-Aid on all of this by saying, hey, we lowered taxes, or we got rid of taxes. Well, guess what? Because of these tariffs, the United States consumers still are going to have to pay the difference. And that's the issue that Amazon is having. Because you put these tariffs on goods that are coming from Asia, we are the ones having to pay the extra. It all falls back on us, right? So at the end of the day, is he really doing us a favor? The answer would be no. All right, let's continue.
Perspective, it's trying to figure out how to mitigate costs, any potential cost increases from tariffs, how much it can pass along to the consumer, what will that do to its business? So, it was like an idea they floated, and let's just say the idea landed like a lead balloon.
So you touched on something, and this was exactly what I wanted to ask is, do you foresee if something like this were to be implemented, whether it's Amazon, whether it's another online retailer, putting tariff prices next to items, do you see that changing consumer behavior?
Well, no, ultimately price will change consumer behavior, right? So if we go back to like the price of a car, and there were some tariff changes today, but the consensus estimate was like tariffs could increase costs by $5,000 or $10,000, and there were some changes made today. Tariffs could increase the cost of cars maybe $2,000 to $5,000 now. So
basically, what he was just asked, if they were to put tariff prices next to regular prices, would that inevitably trick the U.S. citizens in order to make them purchase? And the answer to that would be no, because the U.S. citizens are hurting. The U.S. citizens don't have it. So I just want to make that clear. Let's continue.
Not as severe, but it's still a cost increase. I mean, so that's what changes consumer behavior, right? So maybe you have to buy used, maybe you wait to buy a new car, maybe you go with a lower end car. Those are sorts of the changes, right?
I don't recommend anybody make any major purchases at the moment, especially if you end up, leasing or financing something. If I were you, brothers and sisters, and everything I'm saying it to my media circle as well as myself and everybody around me. Look, right now it's a time where if you're going to make major purchases, it should be something that's tangible that you can own, right? That would be the intelligent thing to do at the moment, not just be out here doing any frivolous spending. And when it comes to clothing and materials such as that, right now you don't have no excuses to be out here buying Da Vinci, Versace, designer, Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Prada. You don't even have no reason. There's no logical reason for you to go to Saks or go down to Lenox Mall or go to this mall and that mall and be out here copping the latest designer fashion. That is the most idiotic thing you can do right now. Especially with China sitting up there telling you, look, we make it here. You can get it for the low. Hey, you want to come over this joint? Get your items, get your services for the low. We're going to let you get it from here. They gave you all the links, all of that. So if that's your style, right? It makes absolutely no sense that you support the American economy by purchasing these items. It makes no sense for you, which further hurts America, but it's meant to fall, man. It gotta fall. It gotta fall. Yeah, the cat's out the bag now. America's losing its power. This is what the scriptures talked about when it said Babylon the Great is falling, it's falling. Oh, it's going to get hit economically. It's going to get hit religiously. It's going to get hit by military. The military forces are going to dwindle. All of it is going to fall. And we think it's going to fall at once, but no. This is death by 1,000 swords. This is a slow kill. It's like they got hit with the lethal injection, and that junk been sick for years. It ain't no just turning this around, right? Let's go.
Right? Like you, me, everybody else, we're all just sort of trying. I'm doing it very unsuccessfully, mind you, to make our checkbooks balance. And so that's what really changes consumer behavior. I mean, the fact that, there's a tariff, go back to that airline example. I'm either going to Chicago because I can afford the ticket. I don't really care if there's the fuel expense is up. I can either afford it or I can't. So the price is ultimately what's going to change consumer behavior. And again, we're sort of still in those early innings of how much inflation, price increase, cost increase can be mitigated.
Well, the only thing we can do as people is stack our money up, stack that chicken up. Don't be out here being wild with it. Look for the best deal you can find. Start clipping them coupons. People be judging people who be couponing and all that. No, those are called intelligent people. People who are trying to get a deal. Don't be out here flexing, trying to, keep up with the Joneses. Don't do any of that. Now, there's a couple articles that I want to go into regarding this because the job market is getting dismal in America, right? So just in 1 month, layoffs, and we are at CBS News, in 1 month, layoffs across America have surged 205%. This is the facts. 205% is inordinate. It's inordinate, ladies and gentlemen. And I know a lot of Trumpsters, a lot of good old boys, they saying you just got to be patient. Trump has it all figured out. I get it. I get all of that, right? I want y'all to put y'all idolatry to the side for one moment and consider the fact within the last few decades, things have gotten considerably worse. And we've been hit with false senses of hope every single 4 years. Every 4 years, we thinking something's going to get better. Something's going to happen. Look, It ain't gonna happen. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. It ain't finna happen. See, prophetically, America's meant to fall. No president is going to stop it from falling. And all of you usins out there, it's about time that you start to really start to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and stop relying on politics and presidents to change the trajectory of society. These people are millionaires and billionaires. They're not concerned with your plight. The rich are only going to get richer. It's a dog-eat-dog society. The rich is only going to keep making money while they exterminate the poor and they destroy the middle class. That's what's going to happen. Everything thus far that has been done in this country for the last 100 days is only based on supplying the rich. It only benefited the rich. It didn't benefit nobody but the rich. Make no mistake about that. And by the time some of you all wake up and see what's going on in this country, it's going to be too damn late. It's going to already be a damn purge. It's going to be already, violence in the streets. It's going to already be a civil war before you get your head out your ass and stop idolizing these damn celebrities, reality show hosts turned presidents. At some point in time, you just got to wake up. I don't care what walk of life you from. At some point in time, you got to stop putting your trust in man. Now, it says here in this article, it says that, wow, in March, when compared with a year earlier, with last month's 275,240 job cuts, fueled by widespread firing engineered by billionaire Elon Musk. Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, according to outplacement firm Challenges Gray and Christmas. Now, the person who is running the Department of Government Efficiency is responsible for laying off almost 300,000 jobs. Almost 300,000 jobs. Now let's stick to the facts. Now, a lot of those people who were laid off, I'm sure that some of them bounced back, but a great deal didn't. There's people out there that have no way of feeding their family. What do you believe that does to a person when they put everything in that job? That's why I tell y'all all the time, your job should only be used to get where you're going. I don't care if you're a content creator. Your job on social media should be used to fund something that you're doing yourself. Where if the grid was to get shut down, you have a trade, you have a skill that you can take with you anywhere. I don't care what your job is. Nothing is promised. Nothing is guaranteed. There's going to be millionaires who trying to seek understanding from the poor and homeless, because there's going to be billionaires falling from grace. They're going to have to learn survival skills from homeless people. That's what's going on in America. Look, let's continue. This article goes on to say, it says, March's layoffs represent the third highest monthly total ever recorded. Challenger said the two previous highest monthly totals were recorded in April 2020 and May 2020, when more than 600,071 jobs and 397,000 job cuts, respectively, were recorded due to the pandemic shutting the U.S. economy, according to its data. So now you're getting job cuts like there's a whole pandemic going on. And the only pandemic is the AI takeover. The only pandemic is the spiritual defilement. The only pandemic that's really taking place is these disembodied spirits, fallen angels looking for hosts. The shadow workers casting disembodied spirits into jinns, or casting them into inanimate objects and having these jinns replace your jobs. They're empowering the AI. That's what's really taking place. Let me see. Somebody in the chat says AI takeover is right around the corner. I concur. I concur. And I've been talking about this for years now, and now we're seeing it happen full-fledged. And Elon Musk, he does all this damage and then he steps away. It reads, last month's cuts were led by losses in federal jobs, largely directed by Doge, with more than 216,000 government employees fired from their jobs in March. Now, some of you all think that, wow, Trump is cleansing the government. There's government jobs that have been cut. Look, I don't know about y'all, right? But brothers and sisters, I grew up, born and raised in Washington, D.C. And everybody mama worked for the government. Y'all thinking about, when y'all hear federal government jobs, y'all thinking about, Uncle Sam and them. Y'all thinking about people from Congress. No, Congress got to pay raise. The shadow government's still working. The Trilateral Commission, they don't even have to rely on money. The politicians, they're funded by lobbyists. So when we talk about job layoffs, it's talking about auntie and them, mama and them. Just because you hear federal government layoffs, like I said, when I was living in DC, a lot of people's jobs were in federal government, and they were in offices. They were data entry jobs. There were jobs that was just collecting information. Let me tell you, you thinking that it's the feds getting hit? No. Those jobs were everyday citizens, everyday employees. Yeah, people who work for city council and different things of that nature. It ain't what you think, right? I don't know. I don't know. Listen, there was not a school in DC where somebody's mom or most of the people's moms and them or pops and them worked in the federal government, bro. Let's go. It goes on to say, last month, cuts were led by losses in federal government jobs, jobs largely directed by Doge. With more than 216,000 government employees fired from their jobs in March, Challenger said, while Musk has said he is rooting out waste and abuse, the steep job cuts to agencies such as Social Security Administration and the IRS are causing delays in customer service for taxpayers, while also some other agencies are being entirely shuttered. So a lot of people not getting back their income taxes in time. They holding those, processing centers regarding getting certain documents that you need. Those have been slowed up. These job cuts is affecting everything. Yep, Nini says government jobs were also consolation prizes after the Civil Rights Act. That's true. That is true. Very true. But a lot of these jobs that they're talking about is really affecting the whole country in a negative way. It goes on to say, it says job cut announcements were dominated last month by Doge. Plans to eliminate positions in the federal government. It would have otherwise been a fairly quiet month for layoffs, right? The government monthly job report. So that's a lot of jobs. Look, it says since February, Doge cuts have led to more than 280,000 layoffs of federal workers and contractors across 27 agencies. Another 4,429 jobs cut have resulted from the Trump's administration ending of contracts or cutting federal aid. Right? Now, a lot of people think that Trump is trimming the bushes. A lot of people believe that he's trimming the fat, so to speak. When I'm going to let y'all know, he's put in office to do exactly what he's doing. And that's implode America from the inside out. Yeah, somebody said the real digital ID is starting in about 1 week. Wow. Let's see. All different types says crime families work in the government too. That is true. Woke Matrix says there are already a power outage in my area just yesterday morning. What area are you in? Because people think it's a game. Y'all see what's going on in Spain? Y'all see what's going on in Portugal? A lot of you all believe that that's only going to happen there. Look, it's coming to a country near you. It's coming to a country near you. I got another article too that I want to share about these layoffs. It's coming. And this one, I want to hone in on UPS because I don't think a lot of people understand what this means, the severity of 20,000 jobs in UPS coming to a screeching halt. Let me see. Capo says, can't trust the Nubreed, the news Nubreed. They push panic and fear. No, what you can trust is facts, data. What you can trust is the numbers. The numbers don't lie. See, what the news is doing is telling you what's happening. So you can't say you wasn't warned. Now, I'm not saying that the news is a reliable source for all information, but you got to understand the prince of the airwaves, they believe in karmatic depth. They have to tell you what's going on, because if they don't tell you what's going on, they would, get the retaliation or the retribution for not telling you. So they'll tell you, and it'll be people who, in reverse psychology, to say, well, that's just the news lying. They program you with this fake news agenda. So you don't believe facts. You see how that works? Just like they inverted being woke. They'll tell you something like, look, they don't trust us anyway. So we just going to tell them this stuff. Nah. But anyway, UPS, let's talk about it. UPS cutting around 20,000 jobs amid new or increased tariffs. 164 buildings closing. The United States Parcel Service is expected to reduce its workforce by roughly 20,000 during 2025, citing new or increased tariffs and changes in general economic conditions in the U.S. or internationally for their cuts. UPS announced the layoffs April 29th in the first quarter, earning reports in which the parcel delivery service said it made consolidated revenues $21.5 billion compared to $21.7 billion around the same time a year ago. The shipping company also said it would be closing roughly 164 facilities by the end of the year. Now imagine how those people feel. That's a lot of facilities. I hate to be that guy that has made a living in a certain city or a certain state. You've worked at UPS pretty much all your life, and all of a sudden your job is gone and they shutting the building down, and you've been doing that your whole life. It ain't like you could just easily pick up your family these days and transfer from one place to the next. This is why I tell people all the time, do not put all your faith and your trust in this system. Somebody said my homie works at UPS. Yep. And that the United States parcel job, a lot of brothers coming out the streets, coming out the hood, coming out a certain places in life. A lot of them, man, they aspire to get that UPS job. People be sleeping. UPS got benefits. UPS put food on the table. UPS makes sure, you straight. Just imagine all the companies that are not going to be getting packages. Yep. Nisi says when they start firing people from the actual post office, people really gonna be concerned. Right. Oh, that's coming too. JM says, got laid off. Thankfully, I got enough to last through the rest of the year. Man. JM, I'm sorry to hear that, man. And I'm glad you were saving. Barbara Lindsay says, yes, Breed is also biblical. Satan plots, the Most High plans, and we will have the victory. Yes, we will definitely have the victory. When we leave our captivity, we will be in great substance. But we have to move according to his will. We have to be very cognizant and aware of what's taking place in the world so we can make the proper adjustments in our lifestyles. Like I be telling people all the time, warning them about the AI, but in the same breath, I be telling y'all learn the AI. Learn how to work on robots. Find out what you can find out about it. Learn how to adjust. Because if a lot of the jobs are going to be working on these AI bots, working on these smart cars and smart homes and smart this and smart that, it will be smart if you learn the ways of survival and also learn how to survive off grid. Y'all hear what I'm saying? You want to be well equipped. You want to learn how to survive in the city as well as in the field. When the Bible says, blessed are ye in the country, and blessed are ye are in the field, and blessed are ye are in the city, it's talking about those who are following the Most High, those who are moving according to the Holy Spirit. Those are the people going to be blessed, no matter where they at. Why? Because they adjusted. They learned. They have an open mind. They're being led by the Holy Spirit, which give you all wisdom. The Holy Spirit can bestow all things, all manners of wisdom. Yeah, look, don't limit the power now. Let's see. Dirk says here in Canada, they voted for the wicked net zero policies to depopulate our people. Satan wants everyone to perish. God will win. Absolutely. The Most High will win. And ladies and gentlemen, if you can, do me a solid and hit the like button on the video. They don't want this truth out there, but hey, nonetheless, we're going to speak it. We're going to speak truth to power. Now, it goes on to say, consolidation efforts for UPS come as President Trump's looming tariff continue to impact U.S. and global trade, as companies across the country are reducing costs in preparation for a possible economic fallout. In 2024, UPS employed around 490,000 people worldwide, including about 330,000 Teamsters representing the job in the U.S. So their daunting concerns about an economic fallout, it's going to happen. The economy is going to crash. Eventually, we're going to be hit with cyber pandemics as well. Everything is going to be happening in different stages in different places. There will come a time where anarchy will break free in America. A lot of ladies out there who call themselves independent and single, you're gonna wish you had a covering. There's gonna come a time where all those people who claim that they don't need anyone and they're gonna be alone the rest of their lives, and why you shouldn't start a family, why you shouldn't be this, and why you shouldn't be around anybody ever in life. They're gonna wish that they didn't have selfish energy. They're going to wish that they built great rapport with other people. And genuinely speaking, that's going to be a great deal of people, because you living in a capitalistic dog eat dog society and everybody is out for self. And those are the people who are going to get it the worst. Those who don't believe in one hand washing the other. Those who don't believe in being there for others. Those who are not supportive, those who are just about taking. Even being on social media, the information I get out, I don't really get the support that I should get for what I do. But people love the information that I give. Y'all, a lot of y'all will sit back and hear what I got to say and say, you know what, this brother's bringing a lot of truth. But do you support it? Do you share? Do you like? Do you contribute to the mission? Do you tell other people about it? See, people like that who are selfish, I hate to see what happens when all this starts going downhill. I mean, it's already started. I hate to see what happens when it was all about what you can get from a person and not reciprocating any energy. If somebody's pouring into you, if somebody is showing you things, if somebody is putting in the work, you're supposed to support your interests. Let's see. Speak truth. Shares Proverbs 11:25. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Exactly. That's 100% facts. Somebody says, all these politicians are evil. When are people going to wake the hell up? It seems like they ain't going to wake up. It seems like they're complacent and being asleep. I'm telling you. But nonetheless, brothers and sisters, I got more material coming down the turnpike. I will be discussing more, man. There's so much going on in the news right now, and we're gonna be getting into it, right? But I want to thank each and every one of y'all for joining another broadcast. I want y'all to be blessed out there. Consider becoming a Patreon, as well as consider supporting my work via Cashapp, Nubreed Global Truth 77. It's in the description box. Feel free to, support the work, support the mission. I want to thank each and every one of y'all. Y'all be blessed out there. Stay safe. Shalom. Peace.